Ghosting is never about apathy, but a frantic internal act of self-erasure by the person doing the ghosting. It's a defensive maneuver so profound, so deeply wired into the subconscious, that it redefines everything you thought you knew about modern disconnection. This isn't just someone casually losing interest, it's a panicked flight from perceived emotional entanglement, a brittle self-concept collapsing under the slightest pressure, a direct consequence of a deeply ingrained need to maintain an illusion of control and an untarnished self-image, even if it means vanishing without a trace. You're about to understand the intricate psychological architecture behind dismissive-avoidant attachment, not as a personality flaw, but as a sophisticated, albeit destructive, defense mechanism of the fragile ego. This insight will fundamentally transform your perspective on why people vanish, how certain relationships unravel, and ultimately, how you protect your own emotional landscape from the unseen currents of avoidance. We're going to dismantle the myth of indifference and expose the raw, often painful, truth beneath it. The roots of this vanishing act plunge deep into the developmental pathways of attachment. Picture the human brain not as a monolithic structure, but as a complex adaptive system, constantly seeking equilibrium. Dr. Mary Ainsworth's groundbreaking work in the 1970s, particularly her strange situation experiments, illuminated how early interactions with primary caregivers forge our fundamental blueprints for connection. When a child consistently experiences a caregiver who is emotionally unavailable, rejecting, or uncomfortable with intimacy, that child's developing neural networks adapt. They learn that proximity to others, especially in moments of vulnerability, is not a source of comfort but a potential threat. Imagine a tiny developing self-concept as a delicate glass sculpture. Every perceived criticism, every moment of emotional neglect, every unfulfilled expectation acts like a microfracture. To protect this fragile core, the individual learns to preemptively disengage. The brain constructs an elaborate protective shell, the dismissive-avoidant attachment style. This isn't a conscious choice in childhood, but a neurobiological adaptation. The amygdala, our brain's alarm system, becomes hyper-vigilant to signs of dependency or intimacy, interpreting them as dangerous. For someone operating with this style, genuine connection feels like an invasion, a demand for resources they believe they don't possess, or a spotlight on their perceived inadequacies. Consider it like a computer virus constantly scanning for system vulnerabilities. The vulnerability here is deep emotional connection. The virus scan triggers a defense protocol, deactivation strategies. These can manifest as a sudden withdrawal, an emotional shutdown, or the ultimate deactivation, complete disappearance. What often looks like callous disregard is in fact a deeply ingrained, almost automatic response designed to prevent the internal experience of perceived engulfment or inadequacy. They're not leaving you. They're escaping a feeling within themselves that you, often unknowingly, triggered. But if this mechanism is so deeply defensive, why does it manifest as such a stark, sudden erasure? Here's where the illusion shatters, and the true cost of this strategy becomes blindingly clear. Ghosting is the ultimate expression of the fragile ego's desperate struggle to maintain cognitive dissonance. Before understanding this, you might have felt like a discarded object, left wondering if you were simply not enough, or if they just didn't care. The narrative often becomes, they were indifferent. The painful truth is far more complex, and in some ways, far more disturbing. Consider a before scenario. Someone is getting close, intimacy is building. The ghoster, let's call them Alex, feels a flicker of genuine connection, perhaps even excitement, but beneath that, the fragile ego starts to detect a threat. This could be a vulnerability Alex shared, a question about commitment, or simply the natural progression of emotional depth. The subconscious whispers, "You are inadequate. This person will see through you. You will be exposed. You will fail." The brain perceives this as an existential threat to its carefully constructed, albeit brittle, self-concept. Now, the after. Instead of confronting the discomfort, communicating boundaries, or admitting vulnerability, Alex simply vanishes. From your perspective, it's a sudden, unexplained void. From Alex's perspective, it's a meticulously executed escape. research by Dr. Gilly Friedman and her colleagues at Cornell University in 2016 highlighted that a significant factor in ghosting is the avoidance of negative emotional reactions from the other person. It's not about what they feel for you, it's about avoiding the discomfort of their own perceived responsibility, your potential pain, or their inability to meet expectations. This isn't just about avoiding a difficult conversation, it's about protecting a meticulously curated internal narrative where they are always competent, always in control, and never the cause of another's suffering. The ghoster believes, deep down, that they cannot handle the emotional fallout of a direct breakup, not because they're protecting you, but because they're protecting their own brittle self-image. By disappearing, they unilaterally rewrite the script. You cease to exist in their emotional sphere, and with your erasure, any potential accusations, any uncomfortable questions, any feelings of guilt or inadequacy also disappear. This is the ultimate defense mechanism, making the problem and the person cease to exist within their reality. It's a fundamental bypass of accountability, a desperate attempt to maintain internal peace at any cost. This means you were never truly seen as a full, independent entity, but rather as a trigger for their internal terror. Let that sink in. Understanding this deep-seated avoidance doesn't excuse the behavior, but it empowers you to navigate these complex waters with new clarity. Here are 3 research-based techniques to help you deal with the psychology of ghosting, both as someone who might encounter it or perhaps recognize these tendencies within yourself. First, the power of an internal locus of control. When ghosted, the natural inclination is to spiral into self-blame, scrutinizing every text message, every interaction. What did I do wrong? This externalizes your emotional well-being onto the ghoster's actions. The technique here is to consciously reframe the event. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" ask, "What does this reveal about their coping mechanism?" Studies on self-compassion, such as those by Dr. Kristin Neff, demonstrate that actively shifting focus from self-criticism to understanding the other's potential internal struggle without excusing their behavior helps mitigate feelings of rejection. The expected result is a significant reduction in personal distress and a stronger sense of self-worth that is independent of external validation. You reclaim your emotional agency. Second, implement a one-and-done communication policy. After being ghosted, the impulse is often to send multiple texts, voicemails, or social media messages, seeking closure or an explanation. This inadvertently feeds into the avoidance need for distance and can actually reinforce their strategy. Instead, send one clear and concise message, something like, "I noticed communication stopped, and while I'm disappointed, I respect your need for space. I wish you well." This statement sets a boundary, demonstrates self-respect, and offers a path for them to respond without pressure if they choose. Crucially, it transfers the burden of communication to them without chasing. The specific context is after a period of silence where ghosting is evident. The expected result is either an unexpected, albeit rare, response, or, more commonly, a sense of empowerment for you, as you've communicated clearly and then released the need for their reply. You've given them an off-ramp. If they don't take it, that's their choice, not your failure. Third, for those who recognize tendencies of avoidant attachment within themselves, practice vulnerability microdosing. The core of avoidant behavior is a fear of engulfment or inadequacy. To counteract this, intentionally engage in small, controlled acts of vulnerability within safe relationships. This might be sharing a slightly embarrassing story with a trusted friend, expressing a minor fear to a family member, or admitting a small mistake to a colleague. These are low-stakes exposures to the very thing the avoidant brain fears. Research on exposure therapy for anxiety suggests that gradual, repeated exposure to feared stimuli can desensitize the individual. The method involves consciously choosing a low-risk scenario, engaging in the vulnerable act, and then observing that the feared catastrophic outcome does not occur. The expected result, over time, is a gradual recalibration of the amygdala, reducing its alarm response to intimacy and building internal resilience for deeper connections. It's about teaching the nervous system that vulnerability isn't always a precursor to collapse. you now possess a profound, almost unsettling new lens through which to view human connection. The opaque wall of indifference that once made you question your own worth now reveals itself as a transparent shield behind which a deeply fragile ego struggles to maintain its precarious balance. This isn't about excusing hurtful behavior, but about understanding its complex origins. You will no longer see yourself as a passive recipient of abandonment, but as someone who encountered a specific, often painful, psychological coping mechanism. And as you recognize these patterns in others, you will also become more attuned to the subtle ways they might manifest within yourself or those you care about. This knowledge transforms every unexplained departure from a personal wound into a sociological observation, altering not just how you react, but how you preemptively understand the terrain of modern relationships. You've moved beyond surface-level judgments, peering directly into the operating system of human behavior. The unraveling of ghosting's true nature, from callous act to a desperate defense of the fragile ego, fundamentally reshapes your understanding of every human interaction, every withdrawal, every sudden silence. You've just integrated a critical piece of behavioral science, one that arms you with profound clarity and unmatched empathy. Don't let this insight remain theoretical. Use it to fortify your boundaries, to extend understanding where it's earned, and to build connections with eyes wide open. There are still more hidden mechanisms, more powerful forces shaping our world and our minds, waiting to be illuminated. Continue this journey into the architecture of consciousness with us, and prepare to see everything differently once more.